Excellent. Yeah. And I think from my own experience, I think that there tends to be a few different challenges that people come up against when they want to track number of bugs. So, suppose a customer support team is there and you have people writing in, and those people are basically able to write in and they're able to report bugs. The first thing is, I guess, there is that many to one relationship that often exists between, customers customers actually writing in about a specific issue and then addressing, and then linking them up to specific support tickets. A lot of people, I think, tend to struggle with building that infrastructure. And then there's also, I guess, the attribution component as well. It's actually attributing which team is responsible for which type of bug, and making sure there's appropriate systems to basically handle that. So I guess there's kind of those two key kind of issues there when you're tracking number of bugs. The other thing which really comes to mind as well for me is kind of the taxonomy of how you actually internally make sure those things are logged without overwhelming a support team, without putting them under lots of stress to put fine-grained metrics, which then the more fine-grained they are, the more inaccurate they become. So I was just wondering if you had any thoughts on how companies can go about introducing this type of system in a fairly minimalist way to start with, before scaling it up to something which is when that initial success has been demonstrated. What would you say are those first few kind of baby steps, really?
Like I said, the first step is actually not tracking number of bugs. The first step is tracking change failure rate. Change failure rate is highly correlated with revenue of the organization, or the whole organization. But if we go back to number of bugs, it will take time. The first step is support team. You need to ensure that every single support ticket is tagged with two dimensions: priority, the priority or team. Once you actually make sure that the support team has a process, and then you can actually move forward and take actions on top of it. Regarding this, I would actually, I wouldn't be immediately go and change the whole support process. There is a few things which are hard. Changing processes takes time. You need to educate quite a few users. So probably testing on small sections might be a better step, just to see how it works. Small sections might be, for example, your support teams already probably have systems such as, this bug is related to feature N. It might be, for example, your sign up flow. The bug is related with sign up flow, and there's already some tags for it. I assume there's already some tags that you can be based on. You can track that sign up flow and add something on top of it. Then you can link that to a Jira ticket. Okay, we tag the sign up flow into a Jira ticket. It's every Jira ticket, every support ticket that is linked. Then we can slowly add more features such as priority, because the support team might not know the priority if it's P1 and P4. You need to discuss what's the taxonomy, what's the process. That needs to have an internal conversation on how do we actually make sure that which bug fits into which priority. Again, which bug fits into which team. You need some infrastructure to build this. It doesn't come immediately. To be able to do that, I would suggest first link every single support ticket with a Jira ticket, and make sure that it's at least tagged to at a feature if it's not a team. Once you have those two information, you can take a bit more time. You can see that it will be inaccurate, because there will be lots of low priority bugs that you don't care. Maybe there's like 80 bugs which are P4 that in your definition, but there's one P1. Does that mean your quality is really bad? No, that means you're efficient. You're ignoring the low impact task and you're focused on the high impact ones. That's actually really good. But if you don't track the priority, you have 81. What do? That's the problem. Number of bugs is quite hard to track. You need to go step by step, then see if it's working. Can we actually improve this process? Do people get it? And slowly increase this process so that it encapsulates all of it. After it encapsulates customers, priority, and team, then you can actually use it as a North Star metric. But before that, I would not recommend it using as a North Star metric. It would mislead you. It won't represent the real quality of your business. Use change failure rate, much, much more better in that sense.
Awesome. Yeah. And I guess in terms of, that priority dimension, I mean, that ultimately, it ultimately consists of a few different variables, right? It's not just, priority can mean different things to different people. For a customer success team, it could mean, being able to retain big enterprise customers. For a support team, it could mean actually, how do we decrease our costs so, the business can spend more money actually marketing itself rather than having to spend all this money with a support team doing manual actions. It could mean, I guess, a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So I guess, finding out how you measure that priority dimension in itself is like a can of worms almost.
Exactly. Actually, if I have to put like more like what are the pitfalls that you will see? Like you said, one of the pitfalls, how do I categorize priority? That's such a hard task. The second thing is, how do I make sure that the bug is went to the correct team? Of course, you can fix it later once the team gets to the product manager. This is not my team. This is someone else's team. The support team might not have the correct information to correctly tag it. There will be a lot of conversations. Priority is one of the biggest ones. There is also another one that will be a big bottleneck, which is in Eliyahu Goldratt's The Gold Book. He mentions that a team should end-to-end own a single metric. Number of bugs, it slightly goes different in that sense. The tracking is not done by you. The tracking is done by a different team. It's the support team. But the measurement is actually impactful for the engineering team. And suddenly there's this, wait a minute, this shouldn't be tagged as bug. It should be tagged as, there's going to be some conversation going on there. There's going to be some, okay, how do we use this metric in an effective way? You need to teach all engineers, and there will be conversations which will take time for the organization to understand what works for yourself. And these are a few bottlenecks of tracking number of bugs. That's why it's not used commonly. Only a few teams can actually successfully do this in a correct manner. And passing these bottlenecks, or passing these pitfalls, that's a better way to put it. Passing these pitfalls takes time, and you need to invest quite a bit of energy into it. You need to be ready to invest in that. But once you do get it, you have a really actionable quality metric, and now you can put your resources much, much more better. You can know if you need to fix technical debt or not, and all these small questions, you will have an answer for most of them just by measuring number of bugs accurately.
Awesome. So I think, I guess I'd really want to drill in into also some of the leading indicators. But before we get into that area, I think one of the things which I find fascinating, something I probably haven't spoken actually about before, is really one of the things I've noticed when I was in the support operations world is this concept of a cycle is also really relevant there. I mean, actually, one of the things I looked at is one of the strongest correlations. Basically, I saw that customer satisfaction was basically inversely correlated to median full resolution time. So the shorter the time it would take to resolve a customer issue, the higher the satisfaction would be. And there are limiting factors to this. Some issues where they are resolved very, very quickly. There are other things which take part, but especially when you're looking at things where the customer ends up spending a significant time waiting, that's the indicator tends to be that median full resolution time. And I guess that ties in with a lot of concepts we see in the engineering world as well. We see the importance of cycle time, being able to iterate quickly. We also see things like MTTR, mean time to recovery, and of course, change failure rate itself is very much about, the number of, rollbacks or number of hotfixes over the total number of deployments. So I think one of the things which comes very important into a lot of companies which are doing agile, software development or trying to adopt, lean practices, you mentioned the goal, seems to be this importance on really getting that batch size down, being able to adopt the processes whereby they're able to iterate very, very quickly. And a key part of that seems to be, decreasing the individual cycle of a piece of work they're doing.
So yeah, I definitely agree with that. I would like to just mention that these North Star metrics, they're not random. They actually encapsulate a lot of different parameters inside a single metric. Just like revenue captures value to customer in a lot of different ways. It's from all the way to marketing to growth to sales to engineering. Everything is included inside a single metric, revenue. The same thing is happening in cycle time. Just like you said, mean time to resolution for support is such a great metric for customer satisfaction. Cycle time represents the same thing included inside of this metric. It includes mean time to resolution. If you can actually deliver value faster, you can deliver these bug fixes really fast or feature requests really fast to the customers. Their satisfaction will be better. And all of these metrics that I mentioned, or we mentioned together, which is cycle time, deployment frequency, change failure rate, mean time to recovery, number of bugs, again, ties with change failure rate. All of them encapsulates so many different parameters. That's why it's a good metric, and that's why it corresponds to or correlates to the organization's revenue in a really good manner.